Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
See this number? This is the amount of debt our nation has dug itself into. Shocking. And it goes up millions every day. And if you're not worried, you should be. Now, how do you get some control over your retirement with this hanging over your head? Buy gold and silver from Roslyn Capital.
I'd be more worried about coyotes if I were you.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. The Worry-Free Retirement with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
It's a subject that's as old as the hills and as pertinent as ever, the rush to invest in gold out of fear. I want to take you back in time to an era that shares a striking resemblance to the challenges retirees face today, the California gold rush. All right, you got to picture it now through the magic of radio. It's the mid-1800s, and a wave of eager prospectors descends upon California, all in search of one thing. That's right, gold. They were driven by hope, ambition, and a desire for financial security, much like retirees today. Now, why do I bring this up? Because, my friends, uncertainty about our financial future can feel a lot like a journey into uncharted territory, just as those gold miners face the unknown as they panned for riches. Retirees today also grapple with the uncertainty of their financial futures. But here's the rub. Just as it wouldn't have been wise for those prospectors to rush into the wilderness without a plan, it's equally unwise for retirees to make investment decisions out of fear, especially when there's a new element at play, the many peddlers playing on those fears to sell as much gold as possible. It's the new gold rush. That's right, we call it selling scared people gold, which is the topic of today's show. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am your trusted guide on the path to financial prosperity, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And today we're diving into a topic that's been dominating our phone lines lately, the rush to invest in gold. And here's my concern, solely out of fear. But before we rush off into them hills, let me introduce one miner. The other one's actually vacationing down in Panama City, I think it is. The only gold mine prospector here in the studio with us today, the most laid-back graphics artist in Louisville, Mr. Derek Hudson. Good afternoon, Derek. I thought it was morning, but it's been a busy day here. Good afternoon.
All peaches.
Oh, all peaches.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about having some fun with this. We will take the element of gold serious here in just a second, but I showed you had never seen the Will Ferrell, the old mining prospect.
I had not.
You had not seen that from Saturday Night Live. To set the stage, folks, we'll play a quick audio. Will Ferrell is dressed up as a gold mining prospector, and he's in the military during the Osama bin Laden days. And, play a 10-second clip here real quick of Will Ferrell playing the old prospector.
Oh, heck, I've been called dirty, lazy, smelly, shifty, kooky. But one thing I ain't never been called is dumb.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but it's you can tell the whole cast had fun with that. So.
Oh yeah, they're just cracking up. You've got it. Yeah, you ought to go watch that on YouTube, folks. It's a funny skit. So, all right. So here we are, Derek, and we're talking about gold. And first of all, folks, let me say this: at Tony Walker Financial, we're going to have some fun with this topic of gold because it is crazy how many people are calling us asking if they should invest in gold. And while I'm not going to tell them not to invest in gold, we at Tony Walker Financial do not transact nor recommend gold. So doesn't mean you might not want to buy some gold, but folks, this whole thing of just loading up on tons of gold, no pun intended, and forsaking possibly your retirement because gold, you're going to learn, is a very, very volatile and speculative investment. So you have to be aware of that and know at Tony Walker Financial, while we wouldn't tell you not to buy gold, we do not offer gold. So what is the concern here? The concern is that we are going to get away from a traditional planning game plan, which we've done for years. It works. We'll talk later about our split IRA, but why we just want you to be cautious of all the people out there promoting buying gold. Now, here's what's funny about this, Derek, is you did some research. You did a fine job on this. I asked you to research some stuff. One of the funniest things I saw, and this is going to relate to what concerns me now, folks, with the many people out there pitching products, not just gold, but all kinds of products and strategies based on fear. This article said that more fortunes were made back in the 1800s, Derek, by the merchants servicing the miners versus the miners.
Right, yeah. There's all these people that saw business opportunities not in getting gold, but in like servicing the people who were trying to get it. So they would come up with just different ideas of what they needed, and they made a lot of money off of that.
Yeah, and these big names we're getting ready to share with you, folks. We'll get to the serious stuff, but this is really interesting. So the first person, Derek's got these up on the screen here in the studio, Philip Armour, A-R-M-O-U-R, lived from 1832 to 1901. Now, when I saw this, what did the article say that Philip Armour provided back to these gold miners?
Well, to the gold miners, he controlled something called a sluices, I think it's pronounced. It's almost like a dam, like he controlled the water supply to them.
Got a smart guy.
Yeah, like, oh, there's a flow of water, let's dam it and then sell them.
That is funny. But of course, I think of Armour. Did he go on and start like the Armour hot dogs? Was that the same Armour?
I'm guessing so. He started a meatpacking empire in Chicago. So
hot dogs, Armour hot dogs. What kind of kids eat Armour hot dogs?
All right, that's really interesting. All right, the next one, John Studebaker. Now, have you ever heard of a Studebaker automobile?
I have not. No.
Okay, Derek's showing his age. Most of you listening to this show know of a Studebaker, 1833 to 1917, but this is hilarious because I think of Studebaker automobiles. What did this guy capitalize on during the gold rush?
Well, you see, when it said he made automobiles, I thought they were talking about this. He made wheelbarrows. I thought maybe that's what they meant.
Well, I could picture him pushing gold miners around in the wheelbarrows. Maybe that's it. He created the wheelbarrows and charged them, kind of like Uber, maybe, with the wheelbarrow. That was a good one. All right, next. This was really interesting. This was a couple of fellows that made a ton of money off the gold miners. We're assuming they handled the gold and the money. See if you recognize these last names, Mr. Henry Wells and Mr. William Fargo. Can anybody say Wells Fargo? All right, those guys made a ton of money. I can only imagine, because these guys would get the gold. You got to put it somewhere. And so I'm sure these Wells Fargo would. I'd like to research this, actually. I bet this is cool. But anyway, that's where Wells Fargo got their start, making money on the gold miners who are out there mining the gold. So you know the golden rule, don't you, Derek?
The golden rule being treat others the way you want to be treated?
No, the one that gets the gold makes the rules.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy, here's a familiar name, Levi Strauss. I never knew this. 1829 to 1902. What in the world did he do back then?
Well, originally he was making tarps for, like, wagons and, things like that. But he saw that all these miners needed, like, pants that could last all these, all this work they were doing. So he started a jean company, and it's now Levi Jean Company.
Yeah. And then you said working 16-hour days. I noticed you're wearing jeans. You ain't putting any of those 16-hour days here.
Well, you can't see the holes in the back.
Thank goodness, yeah. All right, do we have any more?
That's all of them.
That's all. Thanks, Derek. Okay, so what does all this have to do with the promotion of the current gold now? Folks, that's the thing. There's so many promotional strategies going out here that are in the financial world. Some of them have merit, don't get me wrong, but the way they're promoted, the amount of fear that's going into the promotion and the amount of money people are making on your money as a result of you sometimes reacting too quickly is something you need to be aware of. So when I come back, it's not just gold. It's several other products and strategies you need to be aware of that are creating fear in the minds of savers and in turn wanting you to turn that money over to the promoters. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back. In the financial world, advisors are often divided between two categories, money managers or annuity specialists. My question is, why not have both? At Tony Walker Financial, we specialize in investments and securing guaranteed income you can never outlive. We're more than just annuities. So if you're retired or retiring soon, why don't you give us a call or log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, 403b, thrift savings account, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For almost 40 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no-obligation appointment. Let us help you today. With the uncertainty of the stock market, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. To talk to me at no cost or obligation, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, folks. And if you're just now joining us, we're talking about the idea of being scared to death to invest in anything, the value of the dollar, bloody, and let's just load up on gold. And our purpose today is not to talk you out of potentially buying gold, but just like so many things that are promoted, sometimes out of fear, to be very, very careful in trying to put too much money in gold right now. And to help us understand this topic, which can get a little complicated, is our own Wes Walker, who is in our investment department at Schwab, one of our fellow fiduciaries. And I know you've even done some research on this, but first of all, glad to have you on the show, Wes. How's it going in there in your office? I know you've been working feverishly on some things.
Trying to, yeah. Everything's going great.
So it's a little over 3 years now?
It'll be 4 years in December.
Okay, 4 years in December. So you've taken a real interest in the investment side of our operation with Schwab. Tell us a little bit about the CFA exam. I know you're working hard there, and just some of your long-term goals in the investment department and what you see happening at Tony Walker Financial.
So we're known across the country for writing a lot of annuities. Outside of that, we also manage money through our Charles Schwab platform. Right now, we've got about $220 million of assets under management. And the CFA program is really to try and help me better do that as a part of my job. So to try and get money back to clients, to understand what they hold, the meaning behind those securities. This designation is really kind of a help to that and focuses specifically on the investments area of what we do.
And I think maybe even to be a little more actively managed, and we're more what we call passive, but also just understanding what's going on in the investment world. I know a gentleman came in today, and we won't even get into specifics, but had invested a lot in some very complicated investments. I think this gentleman was more of a saver, to speak to the fact, too, that you quickly recognized what this one advisor was doing and how for that particular saver probably wasn't a good fit.
Oh, yeah. Not getting into the specifics of the product, but it included an element called a derivative. A derivative is just based on some other security, so you actually don't own the security, but its price determines the value of your derivative contract. This person really had no idea what any of that meant, and all of a sudden they were down, I don't remember the exact amount, 30 or 40% on paper, and it proved to be a disaster for them, not understanding the investments that they had.
And I think that's one thing we try to do at Tony Walker Financial. We don't necessarily disregard all investments, but since we're so focused on what I call the saver personality, I think we're doing even a better job of just making sure first that they understand what we're presenting, how the game plan works, and I think that's why so many people are just comfortable with the products they purchase from us, because it does fit a plan. They're easier to understand, and then we can monitor their progress much more easily.
They are much more simple. And I think the CFA program is really going to help me to better understand what different products people may bring over.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I'm only a level 2 candidate. There's 3 levels to this exam. So we've got to take level 2 come May. And then after that, take level 3, and I'll be a full-fledged chartered financial analyst. So that'll be pretty exciting.
That is exciting, man. What do you want, a medal? That's my dad would say. I had to throw in a Dick Walkerism. And then before we talk about gold just a little bit, you were commenting on our latest book, The Worry-Free Retirement Process, which you had a little bit of a hand in that. Trey had a big hand. Our late Connie Fortin, who's now retired from Tony Walker Financial, had a hand. She's alive and well. Derek is laughing. But Connie helped a lot on this book. But this thing, I think, is going to be a game changer because it takes a culmination of everything we do and gives a little more technical background to this. So speak to what you thought of the Worry-Free Retirement Process book.
I think it's going to be awesome. So for the person who maybe sees the TV show and thinks, yeah, that's cool, they seem like good people, they fiduciaries act in your best interest, all that good stuff. But for someone who wants to see a little bit more meat on the bone as far as how this all comes to fruition, a game plan, how the money actually moves, how it's deployed over a retirement and over a lifetime, this book really has all the answers, and I think it's going to illuminate a lot of people into our process and how we truly work.
Yeah, and here's how you get this book. You can actually purchase it if you want. The best way to really purchase it, if you want to get to the quick link of Amazon, actually it's been a little hard to find it on Amazon because I wrote a book years ago called The Worry-Free Retirement. We're trying to get a placement on this. It's on Amazon. It's just a little harder to find. So what I'd recommend if you want to buy the book, go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Right on the homepage, you'll see a link that'll take you directly to either an ebook or the paperback. Or we got a little special deal going on here. If you want to have what's called a free fiduciary phone call with either myself, one of the other 3 fiduciaries, that'd be Wes, Trey, or Heather, just for having that phone call, we'll be happy to mail this book to you, absolutely free, The Worry-Free Retirement Process. Okay, Wes, we got to watch our time here. We're talking about gold. In your own words, explain to people why we're not dissuading people from buying gold, but why is it we at Tony Walker Financial do not offer gold in our portfolios?
Sure. So gold is seen as sometimes it's an asset class that is not exactly correlated with other asset classes. So you could maybe throw a portion of gold into a portfolio against stocks and bonds to get a different return than the other positions would make. That's the typical argument for it. The reasons against it are gold pays no dividends, it pays no interest. It really is what we would call a non-productive asset. So the same as oil or Bitcoin or anything else, these don't make any interest payments to you. They don't provide any income. They're only worth what others are willing to pay for it. And that's a big reason it stays out of the portfolios at Tony Walker Financial.
That's a really good explanation. You know, I did go back and do some research. I've always heard about the government and gold and trying to get it out of circulation. I stumbled into it was FDR when he was president, the Act of 1934 or something. I mean, that's when the government came in and basically said, no, we're not redeeming gold. And you're basically stuck with the gold and whatever the value is. But that kind of is when the Fed, it looked like, from what I can tell the history, kind of cut into high gear. Mm-hmm. Gold standard was kind of gone. So I guess my thoughts too, Wes, we talk about this and it's debatable, but okay, let's imagine the economy really does collapse. Okay, that could happen. The value of the dollar's gone. And we're loaded up on gold. How do you see this playing out? How would we use the gold? I mean, do we run down to Kroger and shave it off for a TV dinner? What do we do?
Yeah, if the world's collapsing like that, most of these folks who have bought gold through their the commercials they see on the news or those different institutions, they don't even have the physical gold with them. They've maybe bought an index that tracks the price of gold, or they bought a gold trust where somebody else is holding the gold for them and they've got a deposit receipt of the gold or something like that. So good luck if the world is in chaos and there's blood in the streets and you're trying to redeem your gold certificates for bread. I just don't see how this whole idea works out. And then a lot of times gold is often pitched as a riskless asset. So you'll see the commercials and they'll say, this is something that's completely riskless. You're not going to lose any money in gold. I've seen these commercials that really allude to this fact that it's safe. If you go back and backtest the returns of gold from 2013 to a period in 2019, you would have been down almost 25%. It's a commodity that's just worth what others are willing to pay for it, not necessarily riskless.
Oh, great stuff, Wes. So when we come back, I'm going to go through a couple other ideas right now that are being pitched really heavily based on the fear of what's going to happen in the future. Some scary stuff out there you got to be aware of. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. Well, with us in the Worry-Free Retirement Studios is Miss Juanita Jackson, who is with Tony Walker Financial, and you've been with us just over a year now, correct, Juanita?
Yes, about a year and a half.
And you came out of the mortgage business and into our financial world, and so how has that transition been, by the way? Have you enjoyed the transition?
It's been a great transition, and kind of seeing both sides of coming from lending and going into saving and watching people live their best lives.
That's great. And we're so fortunate to have you doing a great job in the Schwab department and just moved you to the Louisville office. You enjoying being in Louisville?
It's a great city.
Well, great.
I am enjoying it.
Great. So, okay, I'm not even really sure where to start with this. Our title is Don't Get Scammed. Unfortunately, we've had a few of our clients who've shared with them how people have, let's just call it scam, been able to scam them and been able to get into their bank accounts and things like that. So this concerns me with what's going on in the general public. So I'll just start with some statistics, Juanita. Older adults lose up to $3 billion a year, according to the FBI. Over 200,000 people aged 60 to 69 report fraud complaints to the Federal Trade Commission. Elder fraud abuse is going up. I mean, well, I've got a whole laundry list. We could spend all day with all these statistics, but what do you make of it? And then how are we taking these statistics and this increased level of scamming going on to protect our clients and their money?
Well, it is important, Tony, because we are seeing an uptick of reports. I'm sure we have clients that are part of those statistics. They're experiencing being victims of fraud, both online and by phone. And the problem is that the scammers are getting more and more convincing. They are trying to make friends or be trusted by the individual, and they're falling for it. Unfortunately, they are trusting people, and they're being taken advantage of.
I noticed you said something. You said, well, Tony, that's an interesting statistic as we went over these. And was it 84% they estimate of fraud is not reported?
Right. So those are the statistics we know. There are a lot of people experience the victimization. I'm sure the embarrassment, they perhaps don't turn it in or don't report it or don't know the proper channels to report it. It is important to report it when that happens. Mm-hmm. It helps to protect other people from falling to the same scam.
So I think we decided there's 6 things people can do to try to protect their information or from trying to get scammed by these slick willies out there who are operating. What are some things people can keep in mind?
Well, the first thing is if you receive a communication either by text, phone, internet, and it was unsolicited, you were not expecting this communication, it comes into you unexpectedly, be skeptical. Unlikely that is a legitimate report to you. The best thing to do is to disconnect from that communication and then through the proper channels. For example, the phone number on the back of your credit card, call the agency. Go to your local branch of your bank. Every bank has a fraud department. Ask to speak to the fraud department and tell them what you were told. Report it immediately and then follow the proper channels.
Yeah, we even had a client say that the person that was trying to scam him even told him, now don't go to the bank. What was that one-liner all about?
Absolutely. That was very recent. And the client said that they cautioned them about going to the local branch not to do that because the fraud probably initiated at the local branch and they couldn't trust them. But they could trust the person online. Unfortunately, that was not true.
So at Tony Walker Financial, we try as best we can to take great precautions. What are some of the things we're doing right now to try to protect our clients' money and their identity and making sure that if people call us out of the blue, that these are legit, or if we're calling them even, things they can do to make sure that they're talking with somebody from Tony Walker Financial?
There are a lot of things we're doing, and we're continually layering those precautions to help clients feel safe, and so that we know that we're talking to the client as they call in. So we do have security questions that we ask the clients to answer in person. These aren't things that they email or do online to provide. We see them face to face and they provide those security answers. These are things that they should also not share online, however, because once people have those answers, they don't care about your password. They're just going to change it using your security questions. So those are things that we keep on file, as well as we make careful, we're very careful to identify ourselves. There's a staff sheet that each client has that shows who the staff people are that work here. And then they would know by our name. We also identify ourselves by maybe prior appointments, things like that. So they're confident in who we are. If they're not, they should hang up and call back.
I like that advice you give is, why wouldn't you just, if it just doesn't sound right, we would not be offended by that. If we called, in fact, you told the story of someone, you had not been placed on the staff sheet yet. Mm-hmm. You were new here, you called them, and how did they respond to that?
I really appreciated that. That is a rare find. This person, I was communicating with them, onboarding or some other information I needed. I'd only been here maybe a month and needed to make that phone call. They asked for my name. I gave them my name. They looked at the staff sheet. They said, "You're not on the staff sheet for Tony Walker Financial." And I immediately transferred them to another staff member to verify my identity. I thank them for that because that's diligent. We've got to be vigilant in making sure we're identifying who we're talking to.
That's great words of advice there. So folks, number one, make sure you're giving the information to the right person or persons. If you're not sure, hang up, log off. Contact those folks directly. Thanks for your time, Juanita.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. In our remaining time, I wanted to talk about three things that I feel that the future, the prediction of the future, financial issues, the fear of the future, are driving three things that are really prevalent right now and are putting some scare tactics, I think, out there from the financial world of potentially people just after your money. The first one is, here's the claim. Taxes are going to have to go up in the future. We're talking about income taxes. And while I would probably agree with that, here's what you have to be careful of, folks. There's a lot of people out there ginning up the fear, and then they're claiming they have all these solutions involved on how to beat taxes. One of those I see is one of my favorite products ever, and that's permanent life insurance, where people are taking life insurance, telling you they can create a tax-free income for life and that your worries will be over. Folks, I've dealt with life insurance for nearly 40 years. As much as I love permanent life insurance, as much as it can be used as a supplement to income, be very, very careful rushing out and buying life insurance being pitched as tax-free retirement. In fact, the latest issue is with Index Universal Life and insurance agents and advisors illustrating these at 7, 8, 9%. Don't let them do that. If you get an illustration that talks about tax-free retirement, make sure that they run the assumed rate of return at 3%. Let me repeat that. If you get an illustration from anybody advertising tax-free retirement income from life insurance, make sure they run it at 3%. I think you're going to see that thing is going to fall apart. Number two, the way to beat inflation is more stock market risk. The thought there being is you're going to need more and more money as you get older, so you're going to have to grow your money, which means take even more risk, which if you're a saver, that's terrible news. Folks, the way you beat inflation is what's called the real world. Most people as they get older, I've seen this play out. We have over 3,000 clients. Roughly 2,000 of them are over the age of 55 and between 80. They spend less money as they get older. That's how you beat inflation. You don't beat inflation by taking more risk. You beat inflation with a well thought out game plan from a retirement planning firm such as Tony Walker Financial that understands this thing called retirement. Number three, annuities are the best form of protection for retirement income. Again, would I agree with this? I would, but you have to be really careful because not only are the big boys, the Wall Street firms offering annuities, but you've got what we call annuity peddlers who are tempting you to invest all of your money in products advertising these 15 and 20 and 30% bonuses. And again, while bonuses do have a place with annuities and can be used effectively, what a lot of these people are doing is recommending you put large sums of money in these annuities, calling it free money or whatever they want to call it, making you fearful of the stock market. So there you go. You got all your money locked up in an annuity. You don't understand possible fees. You don't understand crediting methods. You don't understand vesting bonuses, all the things that you need to understand before putting your life savings into an annuity. In fact, because we've written so many annuities and we're well known around the country as being experts in the field of annuities, I would invite you to download Annuities Made Easy at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Annuities Made Easy, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, so you can learn the truth of annuities. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. And speaking of contacting Tony Walker Financial, if you'd like to set up that free fiduciary phone call with myself or one of our trained fiduciaries, just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. Well, that's all the time we have today, but you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free.